Something so beautiful about vulnerability in life. And I have found for myself, the more I have become vulnerable and said the things that I was scared to say, the more people are ready to stand in and say, me too. I'm struggling with that, or I've been through that. And I find the more vulnerable I am, the quicker I get through that situation, or the quicker I'm able to embrace it as an idiosyncrasy or a peculiarity of me that is okay. It's the way it is. And when I hold things back, which I tend not to do anymore because I found so much fruit in vulnerability, but when I hold things back, it's like there is a thorn in my mind that is always there and it's very distracting. Therefore, I can't be myself and I can't open up. And another thought I'm having is so often people go to events and instead of entering into the people that are there. So the main thesis of my observation here is we're thinking about ourselves instead of other people. We're in the room, but we're not there. So you miss the whole thing. And oftentimes you think everyone's thinking about you and nobody's thinking about you. So at the same time, people are hyper judgmental. So if you are wearing the wrong fragrance, if you're wearing the wrong clothes, people can be hyper judgmental about that. I wanted to ask you, with your expertise, Rachel, how do you marry those two things with being present, but also appearing a certain way? Because you talking about appearances with the family, I'm trying to connect it to modern day for the listeners. Like, how can we learn from your? I hope we don't find ourselves in your situation, but for us, when we are worried about appearances, have you thought about this?
Very, very much. I think I've spent my whole life trying to be different than I was back then, or live a different life than we
Yeah.
lived back then, because I think it's really harmful. And I agree totally with what you said earlier, that when you're vulnerable and you're real, people relate to you and they show up. And if I had called my family or showed up to my friends and said, I'm in shock. I'm having a really hard time right now. Something major is happening in my family. They would have showed up for me in a very different way. Instead,
Hmm.
tried to stuff it under the rug, like people do. And that causes a lot of anxiety and a lot of, like you said, a thorn in the brain. Literally, you can't think about anything else. So you're not present. You're worrying somewhere else. And if I had kind of shown up and talked honestly with people, we could have had a heart to heart conversation. We could have been real and I could have been present. So I don't think those two things go together at all. I don't think you can reconcile that. I think to be present and to be real, you have to be honest and you have to tell people what's happening for you. So if you walk into a party and you have this huge stress on your mind or you're concerned about something, I think you need to say it. And you need to be real and say, I'm really happy to be here. This is a great event. I'm just sharing with you that I just heard this news or this just happened and it's going to take me a little time to get into the vibe, or just to really open up. And the minute you say it, diffuses the whole thing. And then you can show up and you can be there. But if you hide it, it's like a monster that just grows bigger and bigger inside.